California's middle class is disappearing, and it's not just about rent. As tech companies relocate, housing development slows under heavy regulation, and daily expenses climb, more families are packing up, not for luxury, but for survival, once a symbol of opportunity. California is now seeing a steady stream of residents leaving behind urban sprawl and unaffordable living for states offering a simpler, more stable life. It's a quiet exodus reshaping the state's identity, and it's not happening in isolation.
Don't get fooled by the label. Subscribe now to uncover what's really behind your favorite brands, and get the truth Big Food doesn't want you to see.
This migration wave stretches across the country, from the crumbling coal towns of West Virginia to the tax-burdened suburbs of Illinois and Connecticut. Whether driven by unaffordable housing in New York, high insurance costs in Louisiana, or bleak job prospects in Mississippi, the reasons differ, but the result is the same. People are leaving. Behind them are aging populations, weakened economies, and growing questions about what defines a livable state. As the cost of living outpaces income in more regions, this shift isn't just a trend. It's a warning sign for America's future. Something is breaking across America, not with a crash, but with a quiet, steady stream of people packing up and leaving. In record numbers, Americans are turning their backs on states that once promised opportunity, stability, and a decent quality of life. But now, that promise has become too expensive, too dangerous, too uncertain. Let's talk about what's really going on behind the population decline in these 10 states. It's not just about rent. It's not just about crime. It's not just about taxes. It's all of it at once. And it's reaching a tipping point. Start with California. Once the crown jewel of the American dream. Beaches, jobs, innovation, sunshine. It had it all. But now it's losing residents faster than any other state. Why? Because the cost of living has spiraled so far out of reach that even well-off families can't keep up. It's not just the sky-high home prices. It's the endless red tape, the regulatory blocks on new housing, the small businesses fleeing for more affordable states. The middle class is being hollowed out. People aren't leaving for fun. They're leaving because staying has become unsustainable. Then there's New York, another powerhouse. But the rent in New York City is so outrageous that even two-income households are struggling to stay afloat. Wages have stalled. Public safety is a growing concern, and the cost of simply existing in the 5 boroughs is pushing people away. Fast. From families with young kids to retirees on fixed incomes, people are moving to New Jersey, Florida, and beyond, not because they want to leave home, but because New York isn't letting them live there anymore. Illinois tells a similar story, but with its own brutal twist. Taxes. Property taxes in Illinois are among the highest in the country. Add in the crushing weight of unfunded public pensions, and the financial pressure becomes unbearable. Chicago is bleeding residents, and it's not because people suddenly hate the city. It's because the economics don't work. The government mismanagement, the debt burden, it all gets dumped on the backs of homeowners, and now they're walking away. Let's talk about West Virginia. This isn't about high rent or taxes. It's about economic decline. The coal industry's collapse didn't just hit the bottom line. It tore the heart out of dozens of rural communities. Jobs disappeared. Young people moved away. What's left is an aging population in shrinking towns, surrounded by vacant homes and shuttered businesses. It's not a policy failure. It's an economic death spiral. Mississippi's problems are different, but just as real. On paper, it's cheap to live there, but affordability means nothing if you can't find work. Economic opportunity is scarce. Wages are low, and for young people especially, the future looks bleak. So they're leaving, not because it's expensive, but because there's no future to build on. No jobs, no growth, no options. Even in wealthy states like Connecticut, the population is dropping. Why? Because the tax burden is crushing the middle class. Sure, Connecticut has wealth, plenty of it, but it's concentrated. The average family trying to make ends meet is being pushed out by high living costs, sky-high taxes, and a government that's failed to ease the pressure. Retirees, too, are heading south or west, looking for states that won't eat into their savings. Louisiana is losing people for reasons both economic and environmental. The state has been battered by disaster after disaster, and the cost of homeowners insurance is skyrocketing. Add that to the economic instability, and staying put becomes a dangerous gamble. For many, the risk of another storm and another unaffordable rebuild is just too much. These aren't just statistics. They're warning signs. When people uproot their lives, it doesn't happen on a whim. It happens because they've run out of better options. Because staying no longer feels possible, or safe, or worth it. And these trends are reshaping America's demographic and economic future. When the working and middle class leave, they take their tax base with them. They take their skills, their families, their small businesses. What's left behind is a deeper crisis. Aging populations, weakened economies, empty storefronts, and declining services. That's not just a local problem. It's a national one. These outflows aren't driven by one thing. In some states, it's housing. In others, it's taxes. In others, it's the death of industry. But underneath it all is one unshakable truth. The cost of living in America is rising far faster than income. That pressure is building up and cracking foundations. In cities, in towns, in people. California and New York can't simply pin their exodus on politics or pandemics. People aren't just frustrated, they're exhausted. By high prices, by long commutes, by constant financial strain. And in places like West Virginia and Mississippi, the issue isn't cost, it's opportunity. When your town has no future, leaving becomes the only option. Even places with natural beauty, culture, and legacy can't hold people if the basics don't add up. Connecticut has charm, but it's also got some of the highest taxes in the country. Illinois has deep roots, but it's drowning in debt. Louisiana has culture like no other, but every new disaster makes the insurance bill go higher. People want to stay, but survival trumps sentiment. This isn't just a wave, it's a realignment. Americans are asking a simple question. Where can I actually live? Not just survive, but live with security, opportunity, and dignity. And more, the answer is not here. Infrastructure plays a huge role, too. Places like California and New York talk about development, but their housing markets are frozen by regulatory barriers and zoning nightmares. That leads to fewer homes, higher prices, and more people priced out. Meanwhile, rural states with crumbling roads and schools are losing young talent who won't stick around to watch their towns fall apart. These 10 states aren't losing people because they're unattractive. They're losing people because they're unsustainable. And unless something changes, something serious, this trend won't just continue. It will accelerate. And let's be honest, this migration isn't just about escape. It's about redefinition. People are choosing states that offer a better balance. Lower taxes, safer neighborhoods, more attainable housing, and more room to breathe. States that figure out how to offer that balance will thrive. The rest? They'll keep shrinking. This shift raises big questions. What happens when major cities can't afford to keep teachers, nurses, firefighters, and public workers because they've all left for cheaper pastures? What happens when pension systems collapse because the taxpayer base is gone? What happens when growth becomes impossible because the workforce has moved away? These are questions leaders in California, New York, Illinois, Connecticut, and beyond need to answer now, not 5 years from now, not after another wave of departures. Right now, because the warning signs aren't subtle. They're everywhere, and the people aren't waiting. They're already gone. If you watch this far, hit like so more people can hear the truth. Share it if you know someone thinking of leaving their state. Comment with your story, where you're from, where you're going, and why. And don't forget to subscribe for more real talk on the forces shaping our lives. Because this isn't just a trend, it's a reckoning. And it's reshaping America, one moving truck at a time. The moving trucks don't lie. The empty houses don't lie. The school districts with falling enrollment, the local businesses shutting their doors, the shrinking tax revenues. None of it lies. This isn't a blip. It's a sustained outflow. And it's happening to some of the wealthiest, most iconic, and once most desirable states in the country. We're watching long-standing pillars of American life crumble. Not with fanfare, not with breaking news alerts, but with resignation. Quiet departures. Families loading up U-Hauls before dawn. Professionals resigning from high-rise jobs in cities that promise them the world, now drowning them in rent, taxes, and crime. Retirees fleeing homes they spent decades building. not because they want to, but because they have to. In states like California, the story goes deeper than just cost. It's about frustration, layers of bureaucracy, permits that take years, zoning laws that make building affordable housing almost impossible. While the cost of living rockets sky high, leaders throw around buzzwords, hold press conferences, and act shocked when people leave. But people are leaving because they don't feel heard. They don't feel valued. They don't feel like they can live a normal life without being priced out of it. New York is no different. The culture, the grit, the energy, it's still there. But so are the $4,000 one-bedrooms. So is the daily grind of paying more and getting less. People aren't just leaving for the weather. They're leaving because the dream of New York no longer matches reality. And when safety becomes a real concern, when taxes climb while services decline, the equation becomes simple. Leave. Illinois? The numbers say it all. Families aren't waiting around for the next property tax hike. They're not gambling that the state will solve its pension crisis. They're cutting their losses, selling if they can, and getting out. Chicago, once a magnet for talent and industry, is watching its population slowly bleed away. And it's not just rural counties. Urban professionals, business owners, even public employees are calling it quits. In Louisiana, the constant storm recovery, the unrelenting rise in insurance costs, it's exhausting. Every hurricane season is another roll of the dice. You make it through one storm and your rates double. You rebuild and the next flood wipes you out. It's not sustainable. People want to live in their homes, not just brace for the next disaster. And when the state can't guarantee even a baseline of economic and environmental stability, people leave. Mississippi is suffering from something even more corrosive: hopelessness. There's no job market worth staying for. Young people with degrees leave the state and don't come back. There are no opportunities that justify staying put in towns where factories closed and nothing came to replace them. The cost of living may be low, but there's no upside when the paycheck barely covers food, much less savings, housing, or health care. You can't build a life on cheap alone. In West Virginia, entire counties are becoming ghost towns. The mining jobs are gone, and the promises made to those communities also gone. Schools shut down, hospitals close, drug addiction climbs, and the few young people left are watching their future evaporate. This isn't just about population loss. It's about a population being abandoned. Connecticut is a different case, affluent on the surface, but eroding underneath. High taxes and high costs have turned it into a pressure cooker for the middle class. Young families who might have stayed and contributed to the state's economy are leaving before they even get settled. Retirees, once the stable bedrock of suburban communities, are heading to places where their pensions stretch further and their homes don't come with five-figure annual tax bills. This pattern is accelerating, and it's being tracked in every metric. Real estate demand, moving company data, U.S. Census reports, utility shutoffs, school enrollment, and beyond. It's not a partisan issue. It's a financial one. It's an infrastructure one. It's a life stability issue. We are watching the great internal migration of the 2020s unfold in real time. People are voting with their feet, and they're telling us loud and clear that something is broken. That affordability matters. That opportunity matters. That safety, stability, and infrastructure all matter. This isn't just bad news for the states losing people. It's a massive challenge for the ones gaining them, too. Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Arizona, Idaho, they're getting flooded with new residents. That means more demand on their roads, schools, water systems, housing markets. But those states are gaining for a reason. They're offering something the others no longer can. A sense that you can move there, afford a home, start a business, raise a family, and not be choked by taxes, red tape, or failing systems. Back in California, the message is on every highway out of town. Middle-class families who once dreamed of homeownership, they are now closing on homes in Nevada, Utah, or Arizona. They're not leaving because they want to. They're leaving because the math no longer works. When your rent is $3,000 a month, your gas is $6 a gallon, and your electricity bill doubles in a year. You don't need to be convinced. You need to survive. In New York, transplants are now outnumbered by people who've had enough. When your subway system is falling apart, when crime stories dominate local headlines, when your taxes are through the roof and your landlord just raised rent again, something's got to give. For thousands each month, the answer is clear. Go somewhere else. And in Illinois, hope is being replaced by resignation. Every year, more families look at their finances and conclude they can't afford another decade of this. They can't justify staying in a state where the government keeps reaching into their pockets without giving back in return. It's a slow, steady unraveling of loyalty. And once it's gone, it doesn't come back easily. These states have a choice to make. They can continue down this road, ignoring the warning signs, doubling down on broken systems, raising taxes to plug holes that never stop reopening. Or they can act, restructure, reform, lower barriers, invest in what people actually need. Because this isn't about vanity projects. It's not about stadiums or ribbon cuttings or Twitter wars. It's about housing, jobs, public safety, basic affordability. This is about the core of everyday life. The question people are asking, consciously or not, is, can I still thrive here? And for millions, the answer is no. Let's be blunt. These states are losing their future because the people leaving, they're the backbone. Workers, families, entrepreneurs, teachers, first responders, college graduates. They're the ones who keep economies running and communities healthy. When they go, what's left? A shrinking tax base, aging infrastructure, deepening debt, and a vicious cycle that becomes harder to reverse with each passing year. America's population shifts are telling us something urgent. The country is being reshaped by unaffordability, instability, and policy paralysis. The old magnets, big cities, coastal powerhouses, blue chip states, are no longer guaranteed winners. People are going where they're treated like they matter, where their paychecks stretch, their kids are safe, and their taxes don't strangle their plans. Ignore this at your peril, because once people go, they don't come back. And once they build new lives in states that offer them peace of mind, they talk. They bring friends, family, co-workers. They spread the word. The exodus is real. The reasons are clear. The solutions are known. What's missing? The political will to fix it. There's a silence that settles over neighborhoods after the moving vans pull away. Drive through some of these communities in California, New York, Illinois, Louisiana, West Virginia, and you'll feel it. The for sale signs stay up longer. The lights and windows don't turn on at night. The corner stores close earlier. Some never reopen. What was once a bustling street becomes another stretch of vacancies and quiet. And that quiet is not peaceful. It's foreboding. People don't leave places they love unless they've been pushed. And right now, Americans are being pushed out of their hometowns, their home states, and in many cases, their entire support systems. They're being driven by costs that don't match wages, by taxes that feel punitive, by systems that feel broken. They're being driven by the sense that no one in power is listening, let alone doing anything. Let's go back to Mississippi for a moment. Here's a state where, on paper, everything should be manageable. Low costs, a slower pace, deeply rooted communities. But when you peel back the surface, the foundation is crumbling. Wages are stuck. Job opportunities are scarce. Entire regions have been left behind, offering little to those coming of age and nothing to those looking for economic mobility. It's not that people want to leave. It's that staying means staying stuck. And for a generation that's grown up watching the rest of the country move forward, stagnation isn't an option. Then there's West Virginia, a state with breathtaking beauty, deep history, and proud working-class roots. But none of that can pay the bills. When the coal industry collapsed, it took more than jobs. It took identity. And nothing came in to replace it. Young people leave, old populations remain, and entire counties are vanishing before our eyes. Not because they've been forgotten, but because they've been discarded. And now, the same policymakers who once made promises to revive these regions offer little more than empty gestures, while the outflow continues. Louisiana, a state that's been battered not just by storms but by policy failure, faces an even more painful dilemma. How do you convince a family to stay when they know the next Category 4 hurricane could wipe them out, and insurance to protect their home costs more than the mortgage itself? There's only so much resilience a population can maintain. When disaster strikes again and again, and rebuilding becomes unaffordable, people stop asking, how do we recover? And start asking, where can we go? In Illinois and Connecticut, it's about value or the lack of it. You can only pay exorbitant property taxes for so long before you start asking what you're getting in return. When the answer is broken infrastructure, underfunded schools, and ballooning public debt, the logic shifts. People do the math. They calculate what their money can buy somewhere else. And once that realization hits, loyalty to a zip code loses its grip. The thing is, once a state starts losing people, the dominoes fall fast. Businesses notice. Investors notice. Public services strain under reduced revenue. School funding drops. Maintenance gets deferred. And the next family thinking of staying starts wondering if they should get out while they still can. That's the harsh reality of population loss. It's contagious. And when leaders ignore it or dismiss it as temporary, they're missing the big picture entirely. California's decline is a case study in what happens when hubris replaces humility. Yes, it has the 5th largest economy in the world. Yes, it has Silicon Valley, Hollywood, and year-round sunshine. But all of that becomes meaningless when people making 6 figures are living paycheck to paycheck. When renters spend over half their income on housing. When small business owners are smothered by regulation. When crime spikes and the cities start to feel hollowed out. And yet, the political class shrugs, as if losing residents by the hundreds of thousands is just a seasonal trend. New York is following a similar path, assuming people will always want to live there no matter the cost. But pride doesn't pay rent, and the sense of security, community, and value that once defined neighborhoods is fading. When your daily life is a fight against rent increases, against crime, against deteriorating transit, eventually you start looking for an exit. And those exits, they're busy. U-Hauls are sold out weeks in advance in some of these cities. Moving companies have waiting lists. Entire social media communities are built around the theme of, I left insert state and here's why. This is happening. It's visible. It's documented. And it's transforming America in ways we don't yet fully understand. Because this isn't just about people leaving. It's about what they're building somewhere else. When talent, ambition, and family stability relocate, the destination states gain an edge, and the origin states fall further behind. This is demographic rebalancing in real time. And unless the states losing people take a long, hard look at why, it will only get worse. If you've experienced this, if you've left or thought about it, hit the like button. If your hometown feels emptier than it used to, share this video. Comment with your story. And if you want to stay informed on the real forces reshaping the country, subscribe now. Because the future of America isn't just about where we live. It's about why we leave.